everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. So this is the third of 4 videos that I'm going to be doing for the flip-throughs of these artist sampler book journals. So if you are a die-hard Studioloo must-watch all the videos fan, please bear with me because some of this could be a little repetitive, but I have to do a separate video for each book because they all have unique things in them. While they have similarities, they do have a lot of uniqueness inside of them. So this is book number 5. So again, this book is the same as the others. The vintage books that I used for these are popular mechanics books, DIY household kind of books. So they all have these nice navy blue covers. This one I've embellished with a bit of gold. On all of the spines, this is stitched right onto the book. It is eco-printed fabric with acrylic paint swatching. Then on the cover, all the books have sort of similar collage-y things, but a little bit different. So it starts out with, this is antique ledger that I've watercolor painted with some fun metallic watercolors. This has been embossed, so it's durable on the cover here. On this book, I stitched on some fun silk maple seeds, as well as some little freeform quilting here with one of my handmade ceramic buttons. There are some vintage stamps here. This is a piece of linoleum that I found washed up on a beach. It's probably from the 60s. I found it in Newfoundland. And then I have stitched on this label that I've painted inside. So there's lots of fun strings there, and you can write whatever you'd like in there. This is a piece of driftwood that's wrapped in my hand-dyed alpaca sock yarn. So it has large brads there that hold it on to the book, so it's not going to go anywhere. Just kind of bring this up so you can see a few different details closer. Then on the spine, we have a spine dangle. It is eyeletted in, so it is removable rather. This one is a vintage radio knob, volume knob. We have a little plastic wheel, a wooden button, a couple of Barbie doll hands, some flowers. These are felt beads, vintage floral buttons. This was from a piece of jewelry. It's a really cool, I'm not even exactly sure what this is made of. It's really neat though. We have a vintage key here from National Lock from Rockford, USA. A little train caboose. This is a woodcut of a tap from Pork Chop Scotty, who is on Etsy sometimes. He has a real store now though, so I think his shop is kind of often online. So the swatch wraps around the back cover as well. The closure is via bronze eyelets, and I have used some vintage seam binding. This is an 8 signature journal, so it's chunky. I wouldn't call it gator mouth, but I would say it's like, full, but you can add more to it, I think, with no problem, because I've given you a lot of tie here to be able to tie it closed. These are all hidden hollow back spines. I have used alcohol ink papers for the end papers, and in the front of each of these journals there's a pocket. We have a little paint tube here. It's a Stamperia sticker, and then inside I've added little bits of things. So first you'll see these. So those are from a digital collection that I'm working on of art supplies. You're going to see those little snippets throughout, and then these little cards here from the Graphics Fairy. I've started these books out in the same way, in that I've used a vintage photo to put some interest on that front page. I love opening and seeing a vintage photo. So here's some of my little digital collection bits that I'm talking about, as well as this. And then this is the authentic vintage photograph. Isn't she lovely? I bought a photo album that had all these photos of this very beautiful family. This is $49 in market paper, and then in here we have a journal card. This is a painted book page, and then I have a collection. I'm just going to call it the watercolor ledger, because it's an Etsy collection I have called Vintage Watercolor Ledger, and you can find that. I added a little bit there. I also have original ledger swatching paintings in these books. And then this is a little laser cut floral from Spectrum Gardenia $49 in market collection. This is a little belly band on that 49 in Market paper, and a collage tag here where I've added this Egyptian art and then some fabric and stitched around. This is a sampling cabbage dyed paper with some of my fabric clusters. This is the original book spine of the book, but on this one I've added one of my paintbrushes from my digital art supply collection that I'm working on. This Art Academy paper, and this is from Graphics Fairy. Painting is the grandchild of nature. It is related to God. Rembrandt. That's a little file folder you can write on. Fun digital page, and this is a coffee dyed paper with a sample of my hand painted washi tape. This is from a book. It's a palette sort of sample book. We have these pencil crayons back here on this digital page. This is a little bit of art from Josie Lewis Art. She has a YouTube channel. She's a really cool, accomplished artist and YouTuber. I found a bunch of these bits while thrifting. I think someone bought probably one of her originals and she sent them some collateral, things. This pocket is collaged. It says, by letting the experience of a foreign land flow through you, it resonates in your memories in ways unavailable to the average tourist. Those quotes are from a book about sketchbook artists who talk about their process, their, the importance of drawing, journaling, sketching, all of those things. This is a journal card here. This is an original painted vintage ledger page, and you'll see back here the writing from 1935, and this is a little illustration of a bee, a little paint pot. It's from the same illustration actually, and some little plants, and then we have paint brushes back here. In these books, you'll see a few pages in the signatures, and then some ephemera made from a book called How to Be an Explorer of the World. It has like artsy activities and fun prompt kind of ideas for a creative life and exploring the world. So this says, glue an envelope or plastic baggie here. Every morning when we wake up, we have 24 brand new hours to live. What a precious gift. Trick not hun. So that pops in there, and then we have this lovely paper. This is a Stamperia sticker that says, make art and you will have wings to fly. And then we have this little pocket made from the digital collection I'm working on, and then paintbrushes back here. This quote journal card that has some master's art on it, and I've painted in the background. I don't really care if the drawings are logical or done well, which is helpful since they're neither, and I sort of felt like it was a funny quote to add to these ladies kind of chatting. And then more of the vintage ledger with my little watercolor digital bit. Over here I've made like a little side tuck on the same paper, and this was in the watercolor sketchbook. It's just a still life painting of like fruit and vegetables, and then I made a journal card out of it with folder and added this little swatch from my in progress collection in there. This little vermilion ink bottle, a little triangle pocket here with ledger in the background, and some of my little bits from my collection, and these little chalks and pencil crayons back here. This is a vintage postcard that I've added some of my little bits to. It is written on from 1962. It's from Carbonear, Newfoundland. And then I added this little flap to it for a little bit of extra writing space. Coffee dyed paper with more of my hand painted washi tape. This is a digital with an easel and some fun paint tubes and florals. Cabbage dyed paper with more of the fabric clusters. This is a pocket from the 1970s from an estate that I purchased from a weaver, and these are felt samples. They're authentic felt samples, and a little snippet of my digital in progress 49 in Market Spectrum Gardenia paper. This is a journal tag made from my digital collection. More 49 in Market paper, this color wheel, Munsell Color Atlas, This is a sampling of my commercial paint swatches and stamps here, and it's like a little slot to kind of keep a piece of ephemera in. So I've added this piece of stationery. This is from Stamperia's Atelier des Arts collection, and it's just all different kinds of swatching. It's really nice. That goes in here. The paper itself is hand dyed. This is from my watercolor swatch collection, and then we have this back here of this paint palette. This is a tag that I made from just beautiful paper that I found at my local scrapbook store. 49 in Market Spectrum paper. The Explorer book, whale found on the street covered in mud. If something is boring after 2 minutes, try it for 4. If still boring, then 8, then 16, then 32. Eventually one discovers that it is not boring at all. John Cage. And then some stones here, just an inspiration kind of page. This is a sampling of the fabrics in my studio, which I've stitched onto coffee dyed paper. I've left all the lines there with the stitches because I think it makes a neat lined paper. More of the fabric, and then this ruffled page, Exploration 11, differences. Collect multiples of one thing, such as leaves, stones, shells, seeds, etc. Lay them out in the front of you, observe them in detail. Using the object log, list the differences you see. Try to document at least 25 things. The imagination needs moodling, long, inefficient, happy idling, dawdling, and puttering. Brenda Euland. The goggles of enhanced perception. I won't read that to you because you're going to tire of my voice. Then we have this paint tube, lined paper, more of the fun palette, this little pocket here that has this artist's playlist tag that I made during Junk Journal July. A little Chinese white ink tube there, and another of those swatches, commercial swatches. And this is like a double kind of journal card that I made with fun 49 in Market Spectrum Gardenia paper. More of the Munsell Color Atlas. The color wheel and coffee dyed paper with a sampling of the vintage stamps that I have in my studio. This little pocket with one of my little digital bits and some paint pots back there. This is an old book page that I painted with samplings of acrylic paint. Added some fabric up top. This is black paper that I have painted with this beautiful color shifting watercolor. Hopefully you see the colors shifting in the light there. It can be a bit hard on camera. This is just a beautiful scrapbook paper, and then on it I've clipped this sample from the Village Weaver Schoolhouse, Bellwood, Ontario. So it's a yarn sample. We have a whole bunch of yarn in there, and then back here I've put some paint brushes. You can journal on there. I've added the paint brushes just because there's staples that hold that yarn in, and they're like old industrial ones, and I didn't want anyone's fingers to get snagged there, so they are in there. This is a sampling of the stickers in my studio on coffee dyed paper. Some more 49 in Market Spectrum paper. More stickers. A little Stamperia quote that says, "Live with love and you will create art." This is a little pocket. This flips up and has this little palette of mine that I'm working on in my digital collection. And then in behind here, we have a couple things. At any given moment, no matter where you are, there are hundreds of things around you that are interesting and worth documenting. So that goes in the envelope. And then this journal card goes into the tuck. More of the watercolor color shift paints. This is a pocket from the collection I'm working on, and we have those paint pots in the back. This is Stamperia Atelier des Arts stationery. I love all those suitcases. It's so fun. Coffee dyed paper. More of my stamps. And then the center signature is a sampling of all of my hand-dyed papers that I currently have in my studio. It is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, and we have bits of fabric washi tape from 49 in Market that I have added here and there for fun. It's just a fun way to kind of share pink, purple, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. And this fun page, digital paper. This is a sampling of the stamps in my studio. This is from my vintage watercolor ledger collection, and I've added this fun laser cut 49 and Market floral. This is a little collage pocket that I made, and we have these paintbrush tips back here on this very colorful paper. This was a mixed media experiment that I did that I turned into an artful journal card. These are Brad's. Then we have this little ink bottle. Then here we have, this is a waffle flower stamp, and you can basically stamp your swatches with notes, and I've done that. I haven't made notes, I left that for writing space. But these are iridescent Artisan acrylics. And then from the exploration book, number 12, 50 things. Write down or document 50 things about one of the following: a trip to the library, a trip to the grocery store, a walk to your neighborhood, and so on. We have a Bertolt Brecht quote down there. All these fun black and white signs. 49 in Market paper. Collecting type. Document lettering you find out in the world. Take notes about where and when you found the samples. And that lovely image. And then more of the acrylic swatching. And this fun page with a color wheel. This little corner pocket has some handmade paper with watercolor swatching and some of my digital bits and paint brushes. This is a collage tag. And more of that fun watercolor ledger with the 49 and Market floral. Stamp samples from my studio. Nice digital art page. This is a sampling of quotes, which I think is a part of a lot of junk journal studios. These are from one of the heritage books, not necessarily this year, from Edna McCann. I'm always harvesting quotes from her little heritage books because she collects great quotes. If bees stay at home, rain will soon come. If they fly away, fine will be the day. And I've also added little samplings of the bits of collage fodder, things I keep in these little books at the back of my desk. This is a sample of a jelly print on music paper, and it's just a flip out for writing space. We have this paint tube here and some paint pots. Bullet paper. This is just a painty page sample. One of my little watercolor swatch digitals. This was a mixed media kind of project I did to make some paper look more vintage, and it's a sampling of vintage photographs. This one I've turned into a flip, and it has this journal card inside of these swatched colors. More of that fun paper. This is some fun washi tape, and this is a 1970s Sutton, Quebec Filature Sutton yarns. This was from an estate that I purchased from a lady who was a weaver in the 70s in the Toronto Spinning and Weaving Guild, and she had an amazing collection of things that she'd collected over time from different yarn stores around the world. This is a February kind of calendar page. It's like a cardstock little flip out for writing, and one of my little bits from the digital kit I'm working on. More of the different photographs here, the vintage photos, and in there is a journal card from a fun mixed media kind of painted page on cardboard that I did, or not like thinner cardboard, like cereal box thickness. Make your life a true work of art. That's from Stamperia. And then more of the painty page and bullet paper. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci. That's from the Graphics Fairy. Some paint pots back there and chalks. This is a tree image, and it has these little kind of empty, faux swatch bits that I just hand drew. It's almost like if you were to swatch an illustration. And another page of the quotes and little bits and bobs. This is a little tuck spot here. This is from Release the Craftin'. These are quotes. These are watercolor swatch quotes that she made that are really cool. They're in her shop. Regina Brett, be eccentric now. Don't wait for old age to wear purple. And of course we have purple swatches. This is a collection, a sample of my tabs that I have made in my studio. So some are fabric, some are paper. This one's from Louisa Heinzel. This is a little belly band on a swatched book page that I swatch with Beam Paints watercolors. And then this is a little piece of stationery for you to have fun with. Object tags for documenting your collections, clues, and evidence attached using string. And they just have that on the back. It's from the Explorer of the World book. And then here we have a fun botanical sketch from a book. Then on here we have a rusty paper clip on top of this sort of fun chalks palette. This is another 1970s Botany Wool Store sample card for their yarns. Instant sculpture. Consider that everything around you is a source for sculpting. Try making quick pieces using whatever you have around you at the moment. And then we have this. A little pocket that says, my journals give me a pressure-free place to play around. This is from my vintage watercolor swatch digital. This is from an art book. I just made a tag out of this beautiful landscape. A couple of snippety bits. This one's from my in progress collection. So is that. A little journal card from an art book. Sound map. Sit in a location for 1 hour. Document all the sounds you can hear and the times you heard them. Mark the approximate location of the sounds in relation to you on a map. And then here are things that I've consumed today. So just different ideas, ways to be creative. We have this sculpture pocket for this tag of swatches and like an aqua tone. More botanical illustration. This little tuck spot on that Beam Paint painted paper. And this is a little fold-out journal card of a sketchbook, a landscape. More of my tab samples. And here's Starry Night, a little journal card of that on 49 and Market paper. More of that vintage sample, yarn sample paper. And another yarn sample from Botany Wool. I made a belly band over these pencil crayons. This is some 49 and Market stationery, and it is printed with like an old marbled book end paper kind of page. More of Starry Night. I wanted to use the whole thing. So we have this pocket here with my little digital bits. This is actual painting on vintage book page with nice metallics. This is a page that is coffee dyed paper with stitch samples from my sewing machine. Objects with stories to tell become art. That's from Stamperia. This is a little pocket here with a Stamperia sticker and some of my painted paintbrushes. These paint pots in the background. This is a dolly painting from an art book that I made a tag out of and added this quote. I think my only rule is that if I don't like a particular page, I'll keep working on it until I do, even if that means painting or collaging over the whole thing and starting over. This landscape with swatches. This pocket here, collagey bits, and a Seurat pointillist painting. Paint pots back there. More of my stitch pages, and this is another little bit from the collection I'm working on. This is a pocket made from a vintage general science book, and I've done swatching of Beam Paints on there, and we've added the boy in blue here as a journal card. It's from an art book. More bullet paper and a little collage tuck spot. How to wander aimlessly. Another of those vintage yarn sample pages. Some fun washi tape to cover up the staples so that nobody's fingers get scratched. More 49 and Market paper. I can never touch this. It's so pretty. I just want to leave it there as an inspiration. And then we end again with the alcohol ink paper, my signature, and my Studioloo wax seal with these sparkly bits. So that is book number 5. So volume 5 of the Artist Sampler Journal. There will be one more video after this one. There were 2 before it. I thank you so much for hanging out with me. And if you're here for all of these, I hope I'm not being too repetitive and too talky, but thank you, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.